Does he and other administration officials now need it? With us, former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. All right, Dan, does Sean Spicer and other officials like him, do they need Secret Service people around them?
You know, Stuart, I think sadly with the Trump administration, they're going to have to expand that protective umbrella. And, I wish that weren't the case. But, you have to understand, Stuart, you can't understand any of this without getting to the bottom of the far left ideology, right? Their whole ideology is centered around the use of government force to take things away from people, their money, their health care, their schools. Once they lose that government's force, they believe the ends justify the means. That's why vandalism, violence, burning buildings, to protest speakers, it all goes on the left. The ends will always justify the means for them.
But Dan, we've got to be very conscious of what kind of a society we are. We're not some third world dictatorship. We are the United States of America. And if we surround our public officials with bodyguards, we look like something very different. Surely you'd be unwilling to go that far, wouldn't you?
Well, we're not going to surround every public official with bodyguards because there's simply not enough assets to do that. It's not even practical. But with the Trump administration and these cabinet officials, Stuart, listen, I'm a libertarian at heart. But a libertarian doesn't mean that you have the right to impose violence on anyone else. Personally, I'll be honest with you, Stuart, I don't have a problem with this person confronting Sean Spicer and asking questions. I mean, even if she was rude, which I think she was. I certainly have a problem, though, with Betsy DeVos, that gentleman getting in front of her car and literally stopping her from leaving or entering a building. There's nothing liberty or liberty-loving or freedom-loving about that at all. That's impeding the movement of someone else. And if the Trump officials need some kind of security to do that, then let's do it.
Hold on, Dan. The left says that what they did with Betsy DeVos is legit because she was on education business, and therefore it's acceptable to get right at her and confront her. And you don't think that's legit?
Well, I think very little that the far left says is ever legit. They'll say anything to get across a political point. But no, that's not legit, Stuart. How is impeding the movement of a free American citizen doing her job to go speak to a bunch of public school kids? Please explain to me, any liberal out there, explain to me how that is legitimate. How's that? That's one of them actually put their hands on her, by the way, where when they made physical contact. In a free society, that's not legit. Only the left would think that.
All right, Dan, we hear you. Dan Bongino, thanks for joining us, Dan, as always. Thank you, sir. Let's get to that massive snowstorm threatening millions along the East Coast. It's supposed to hit short.